What is going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I'm here to give you a tour of my home office and desk setup. This has been many months in the making, and I decided just to take everything out and start fresh and figure out what the best setup was for that room. It is actually the master bedroom of my condo, and during last year's renovation, the office was one of the only places that I didn't touch. This is a room that I really wanted to put a lot of thought into, so I hope it gives you guys some ideas as to what could be the best work from home setup, because I feel like the home office is more important now than ever before. There's definitely a lot to the process, so if you guys want to check out the video where I show you how I put everything together and kind of the vision behind it, I'm going to drop a link to that down below. And if you'd like to win a product from this video, just make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and also leave a comment down below, and follow me over on Instagram, and I'll pick a winner when this video hits 6,000 likes. So from all the technology products that I use to create videos on an everyday basis, as well as the entertainment bridge such as the projector that I added, this is the setup that is essentially 10 years in the making, because over the years I've started from a very budget setup over to a setup that I have today that I'm very fortunate to have but also worked very hard for. So the first thing, of course, is the desk itself, and this right here is the Uplift, and it is a sit-stand desk that has an L-shaped frame. So this entire setup of both the IKEA countertop and the Bow Concept main desk can go up and down and can hold over 300 pounds. Because I'm sitting for most of the day, I think one of the best improvements you can make to any home office right now is to add a standing function. You can buy desks that are complete and ready to go, but also add an existing standing frame to a desktop. There's also like a console table and a bit of like an accent wall with just some random accessories and some branding magazines, and I don't really know what to put there, but I thought I would just kind of roll with it, and I think it actually turned out quite nicely. So the main centerpiece of the space is the Pro Display XDR from Apple, and this is something that I really can't recommend to many people because it is just so expensive and absolute overkill. But if you edit videos on an everyday basis or work in like print media or photography, then this is probably going to be one of the best purchases you're going to make in your career. The first thing that I noticed aside from the 6K resolution is just how bright this display is. It is 1000 nits sustained and goes all the way up to 1600, and especially in a bright room, being able to see everything clearly in daytime is a huge thing. The monitor I had before was the LG 38UC99, and that was a pretty solid monitor, had plenty of screen real estate, but for reference, that monitor was only 300 nits, so if I was next to like a window or something, then it was kind of hard to see. The Pro Display XDR also has a contrast ratio of 1,000,000 to 1, 10-bit colors, extreme dynamic range, and pretty much to sum it up, if you're doing video editing or anything that is very like color accurate or industry standard, then this is going to be a great display even at its high price. The computer powering this entire setup is the Apple Mac Pro, and this right here has a dual Vega 2 GPU setup from AMD, and it also has a 16-core processor paired with 200 gigs of RAM and about 16 terabytes of NVMe flash storage inside set up in RAID. Because all the videos I edit are in 6K Red Raw, I needed something that had a lot of power and was able to handle that, and for the most part this is able to get the job done. As you might notice on the back of my XDR display though, I have some Philips Hue play lights, and these are able to have a whole range of colors and also white settings. So at night if I'm editing, I actually have it set to 6500 Kelvin, which is able to give my eyes a good calibration level. I really find the bias lighting is also good at night for reducing the amount of eye strain that could come from just a very bright display in a pitch black room. As for the mat that I have on my desk, it is one with a leather finish that was about $30 from IKEA. I used to not use a mat, but I feel like after using one, I have managed to keep my desk cleaner for some reason. And if I'm eating and stuff, it doesn't damage the surface, and I feel like it adds pretty nice contrast to a desk that is otherwise white. Even though I'm someone who definitely likes the chalk and space gray look a lot more, with this kind of setup with the XDR display and the Mac Pro, the silver and black seems to all come together very nicely. The mouse, of course, is a Logitech MX Master 3 because it is so good for horizontal scrolling and video editing, and just very well built, super comfortable, and I feel like I've only had to charge it like twice in a year. On my desk, I also have the Belkin Thunderbolt 3 dock, and this is good for having like different USB stuff to plug in and out, but I wouldn't recommend it as like a primary source for plugging in hard drives because of the bus speed. On both sides of the monitor, I have the AudioEngine A2 Plus, which is hands down my favorite speaker. I've thought about trying some other ones such as the KEF options, but I just really like the sound, performance, and size ratio of these audio engines, and I've had them for I believe 5 years. After testing out other options in the same price point for setup makeover choices, I still think these are my go-to for the personal setup. They come in white and black, and I also recommend getting the stand as well, but looks wise, they definitely don't look anything unique, but they're not ugly either. If you want the best audio quality, I also recommend plugging these in via USB instead of 3.5mm jack. So because we talked a lot about technology and like the cutting edge pieces that are great for a home office setup, whether it is the tools, the desk, it only makes sense that we talk about lighting as well. This right here is the Dyson Lightcycle Morph desk model, and a huge thanks to Dyson for sponsoring this video. It is actually a 4-in-1 light that works as a reading light, a spotlight, an ambient light, but you could also have it in a docked position, which gives it just a nice subtle glow. It also has an adjustable color temperature level from 2700 Kelvin, which is very warm, to 6500, which is very cool. And when it comes to control, it uses Dyson's Link app alongside all of your other Dyson products to adjust the white balance from warm to cool, as well as the brightness. But one of the great intelligent features is that it can adjust to your local daylight using GPS-driven algorithm and adjust the color temperatures up to every 60 seconds. The light is also extremely well built, as you would expect out of a product of this caliber, whether it is the magnets, hinges, and switches to be able to get between different modes. Within seconds you can go from a desk to dock to ambient mode, and each one kind of brings a different type of experience. As someone who charges my phone multiple times a day, it is also really handy that it has a built-in USB Type-C charger that looks very clean, and as you can see, it matches the cable that I have as well. To make any changes, just go ahead and touch the top, and it has intuitive controls for both the brightness, the color temperature, the on-off, as well as the mode. My personal favorite mode is the ambient option because it just looks so subtle and it has like kind of a fire glow to it if you want to set it to that function, and when I first saw it back in February in its release, I thought it would fit into my office perfectly. For those who are looking for a high quality light for their office or living room, this is a very versatile option that comes in black and white as well as a floor and desk model. If you guys want to go ahead and check this out for yourself, I'm going to drop a link down below. On the desk I also have a Sonos Play 1, and I actually like the older variants compared to the new ones. I don't really like the touch bar on the top, and this is synced in conjunction with the Sonos Play bar in the console table. If you're sitting for a long period of time like I am, then I definitely recommend like getting up and standing and maybe looking into a standing desk, but I feel like having a nice chair is also very important. The one that I have is a Herman Miller Aeron, and you have choices to customize it, but there's also many used ones available for great prices, and this is my personal favorite over the Embody. With the amount of time that I spend sitting, it is definitely worth the investment because instead of having to buy a new chair every few years, I've got one that is way better, but at the same time has a 12-year warranty. Because of the pellicle finish instead of fabric or foam, I've had this chair for about 6 years and it still looks brand new. Inside my main drawer, I actually went to Bed Bath & Beyond and just grabbed quite a few utensil trays, just screwed them together, and within that I have like pens, stamps, shipping supplies, some money for food, and just general tools. I got lucky in the fact that all 3 of them parallel fit in perfectly in the opening. On the left side I also have a hole drilled into the drawer that goes all the way through the back of the desk, so if I have to have any hard drives or anything connected to the computer, then it can all live inside this drawer. Next to the entire setup though, I can never have enough storage, so I use my old Galant from IKEA, and that has 2 different compartments, including a filing compartment and just a general tray. On top of that, I also put a key holder and wallet holder, so just a grab and go right next to the door. I really like the idea of having different layers next to the desk, so the fact that the distance between the desktop and this drawer unit is offset makes it great for storage. I could also have like a computer or a tablet connected to that spot. I think up until now you guys can see that the desk itself looks relatively clean, but I do have like a side table that is meant for a living room that is kind of where I throw a lot of the junk. So the stuff that just doesn't look very pretty, such as the hard drives, the card readers and everything, lives right next to the computer and just to the right of where I sit. Another element that I added was a CB2 Helix shelf, and it just happened to fit in that wall gap right in the corner, and it adds a bit of storage but also an area to display some stuff. If you guys have been watching my videos before, you might remember that a few months ago I had a white one, and thanks to the return policy while I was redoing this kind of setup, I decided that a contrasting one looked much better, and the walnut happened to fit the finish of the desk. These shelves have been very popular. They screw into the wall and have a bit of a seamless ladder look to it, especially if you go with a white one that matches the wall color, but I think with the amount of storage that has been added and the ability to have like a laptop charging on the corner, it makes it super handy. So when it comes to the wall behind the desk, there is quite a bit of space, but not exactly enough space to put like a chair or something. So I decided that I wanted to have something that was compact and could go against the wall, but had some display area as well as space for tech, such as the speakers and the router. So for the wall, I took some inspiration from a recent setup makeover, and that included a pegboard in the middle, a word board, which I didn't really know what to put on it, as well as a clock from Amazon. As someone who hasn't found much art that I like, I saw these brand magazine covers on Uncrate and felt like it was the perfect fit to put in a magazine shelf. The pegboard consists of a random assortment of shelves and pencil holders that are gray with the white, which I feel like looks pretty good, but if you want to go with a bit of color, it also comes in brown as well. If there's something that I've gotten a lot of questions on though on Instagram and YouTube, it is this clock, and I picked it up from Amazon. I believe it was just around $200, but it displays the year, the day, the time, and the day of week in a pretty cool visual manner in a square. When it comes to the console table, I got this for about $200 on Wayfair, and the quality is honestly pretty bad. I ended up wrapping all the shelves in 3M Dynoc, which was a matte black finish, and I planned to maybe find a scrap piece of countertop to put on the top of it. On one end you have the Buster and Punch lamp, which looks very stylish and adds some light to the room at night, and in the middle I have the Sonos Playbar, both for playing music but also connected to the projector to give you great sound quality when watching sports. All the way on the end I have my router, which doesn't look too bad. It is very minimal, and I just wanted it to have an open space for the best connectivity. When it comes to some of the other decor, I just printed up some stuff from Society 6, put it in some cheap IKEA frames, went to Home Outfitters, and just grabbed the first few things that I saw that were matte black, some of which had a bit of gold, and a few magazines here and there. I'm sure this wall isn't like the most exciting in the world, but considering my limited kind of interior design skills, I feel like it looks pretty good, and I don't really plan to change anything anytime soon. Even though a lot of this stuff takes up a lot of the space on the lower portion of the wall, there's still a lot of room above it, so I feel like the projector actually fit in quite well. And obviously when it's not being used, it still looks like a large clean wall instead of having a huge TV mounted up there. I've still got a couple walls to come up with ideas for though, and as someone who usually just does the same thing for all of my setups, I definitely need some ideas. So if you guys have any suggestions as to what I should do for the new office, let me know down in the comments section below. If I had to choose one of my favorite pieces of tech that I've added to the space though, I've got to say it is the BenQ TK850 projector. And this was kind of like a last minute idea that came in after the entire office was kind of done. And what it allows me to do is watch sports, TV, and whatever it is while I'm also getting some work done on my computer. With the amount of space I have in the wall above all of the pegboards and the magazines, it gives me around 120 inches of projection room to be able to have a sports game playing on a large scale. So this BenQ one has 4K support. It is 3000 lumens, so if I want to watch it during the daytime, I can definitely do that, as well as HDR support and specific modes for sports and games. And I can tell you it looks amazing, and especially on game day as someone who loves to watch hockey and Formula 1, it looks incredible and I can kind of just multitask alongside. I actually wrapped it in a matte white vinyl and picked up a mount from Amazon and had the wire kind of go around the wall, and it actually looks really seamless, and I think the experience is definitely a cool touch to add. Some of the very specific pieces of equipment that I have in the setup is a DaVinci Resolve micro panel that DaVinci actually sent over to me, and I've got to say, as someone who has kind of used a hybrid of DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro 10 for my video editing, it has absolutely been a game changer. Similar to the XDR display, this is definitely not something that you're going to want or need if you're just doing casual video editing, but if you're doing professional grade editing every single day and potentially hundreds of clips in one video, then this can really save the amount of time that you would spend clicking around, but instead having all of your settings and functions on a panel in front of you to really let you focus on the edit. So when I first saw this panel, I was definitely a little bit intimidated by the number of buttons, knobs, and controls, and I've actually tried some panels in the past and just didn't really end up using them and sold them. But this one right here, after kind of understanding the fundamentals of DaVinci Resolve and watching videos online, is something that I can say I will probably use for a very long time and pretty much every single day. So DaVinci Resolve's strongest suit, in my opinion, is the color correction. And within the color tab and on the panel, you have your 3 different wheels that are very precise and easy to control. You also have your dials around it. And on the top, you have the settings that I tend to use the most, including like saturation, color boost, which just saturates the desaturated areas. Allows you to really quickly adjust the hue, the shadows, the gain, gamma, and lift, contrast. And on the right side, you have all of your controls to go through the timeline quickly and efficiently. Previous to using DaVinci Resolve, I would say I had a bit of experience in color grading from using Color Finale in Final Cut Pro 10, and I spent maybe about an hour learning kind of the ins and outs of DaVinci Resolve and the color parameters and what each thing does before I was really able to take advantage of it, and I feel like it has definitely made a difference in the video editing. Being an accessory that is quite expensive, I also like the fact that this panel has no plastic at all, essentially. It is completely made out of metal. You have the dials, the trims, the main faceplate itself is essentially all out of metal. Because I am in the master bedroom, there is 2 different closets, one on the left and one on the right, of course, and one of them is deeper than the other, whereas the other one I had a power outlet installed so I could charge some of the tech products and camera batteries. Starting out with the right side, I have an IKEA pegboard with some different shelves, and you can see there's like the microphone battery, different accessories, AA batteries, the red chargers, just a whole bunch of stuff, and it all just plugs in and stays out of the way so I don't have to see it in the general office space. Below that I have a few IKEA carts which just store a lot of different gear, charger, miscellaneous pieces, and next to that I also have a 154 terabyte Synology RAID system, which is pretty much our main backup for all the footage because I used to not really back up anything. This is the 2419 Plus model that is super powerful, and within the system itself, it actually has 10 gigabit Ethernet and also an NVMe card that serves as a cache, and that is all built into this one unit right here that lives inside the closet, but I ensure I keep the door open to let it breathe. From there, the wire kind of travels all the way around the office and goes into the computer, and whenever I have like a video file or just stuff to back up, I go ahead and drag and drop, and the speed is actually pretty solid. What's great about it as a backup though is that if any of these drives fail, you can go ahead and replace the drive itself and it will repair. The closet on the other side is essentially where we store all of the equipment as well as some of the accessories, and in there I have a shelf that I bought from a hardware store for I think like $100, and it kind of works perfectly in the fact that we have our cameras, lenses, parts, and batteries and everything on the top. Below that you have some of like the accessories, the step-up rings, filters, and all that kind of stuff, and below that you have the cases and travel packs. As nice as it is to have like camera gear on the desk that is like ready to go and grab anytime, it does seem to get a little bit overwhelming, so being able to store it in the closet when it's not being used just kind of reduces the clutter in the general workspace. But otherwise, I think that covers it for this home setup, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you drop a like, and I really look forward to bringing you kind of the progression of the dedicated office space that is being renovated right now. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next video.